Well, thanks for joining us today at Finsbury Park. Yet another incident. It's been a summer of torment regarding what appears to be, well, fomented terrorist events. I mean, what really is going on in your mind?
I mean, it's really shocking that these attacks are taking place. We saw 3 attacks taking place, one in Westminster, then in Manchester, then at London Bridge. These attacks now, it seems they're happening on such a regular basis. It is very worrying as a result that we're worried about the safety of our people, of this country. And it's very important that at this moment in time, I think, when these attacks took place by the 3 attacks that took place before, people claimed that they're doing it in the name of Islam or Allah or whatever. We were making it clear that this is not Islam. This is not Islam, which is encouraging people to do this. It's demented people who have their own vested interests, who are brainwashing young minds, who are doing this. Similarly here, we want to also make it clear that if this person associates himself to a faith, we also want to make it clear that this is not associated to any faith, regardless of who the person is. If he says he's a Christian or any other person, we want to make it clear that no religion supports these kind of actions where innocent people are being targeted and killed on a regular basis, or innocent people are being murdered on the streets. Islam and any no faith allows anyone to take the law into their own hands. So we want to make that clear. This is very disturbing to know that we're living through a time where incidents like this are happening so regularly. The government really needs to take a strong stance against extremism and not allow any hate preaching going on. Because if there is any hate which is being spurred through, if hate preachers are finding platforms on the media, if hate preachers are finding platforms in universities, even if they're finding hate preachers are finding platforms inside faith institutions, they shouldn't get that platform. The main purpose for any public discussion should be the peace of the society, rather than to try and move away from it and to take it to a point where there is hatred being spewed.
Something else we've actually noticed as well in the media is that people who follow the faith of Islam and their leaders, people like yourself, have been encouraged by central government and local government to make sure that people didn't fall away from what their core teachings are, and that these events shouldn't occur. And as you said, they're lone wolves. Now, there's been quite a difference really, because this event is particularly significantly different, because now what we're talking about is what's often been talked about in the Muslim community, which is that these are one-offs, these are people not following the faith, they are perversions of it, and the very idea that they could even call it an Islamist or Islamic style event, obviously crucially this is not really correct. So in this particular case, the Metropolitan Police has taken quite an interesting turn. They've decided that the man would be mentally assessed. Do you welcome this, and would you say that whether the perpetrator claimed to be a Muslim or claimed to be anything else, would you welcome the fact that he should be mentally assessed when something like this happens?
Absolutely. We think that any person who carries out the attack immediately jumping to conclusions about his faith and his motives is incorrect. All of these people that do these kind of attacks, if you look at their history, there's some kind of disillusionment, there's some kind of mental instability, there's some kind of looking for another way out. Regardless of who the person is, the government should always look at it and always should assess what the root causes are. In most cases, these people who are carrying out these attacks, if you look at the history of some of the so-called Muslims, they've been drug dealers, or they've been petty criminals. They've been looking for a way out. They've just been preyed on by the wrong people. So it's very important that we don't fall into the trap of saying that it's the religion that is at fault. And similarly here, if this person has committed this atrocity, we shouldn't jump to conclusions. We shouldn't give that person the legitimacy that what he did was morally correct according to his beliefs.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And one would suppose also that people need to explore perhaps a little bit more about their communities, rather than being in fear and the media perhaps suggesting something odious about different religions and cultures. Would it not be better perhaps that people should be encouraged to find out a little bit more about their neighbours' religions and cultures?
I think inclusion is the key, and transparency is the key. You have to open up, you have to engage in order for the other party to express their point of view. And that's when you get integration, that's when you get people getting along with each other. Muslim communities, they're just like anybody else. A Muslim is just like anybody else. According to our scripture, we're taught to help people, we're taught to donate blood for the sake of saving mankind. So if people know this, if people know that this is the true face of Islam, it will of course bring people together. Right now people do have questions like, is terrorism really the face of Islam? So people do have these questions. If we don't give them the opposite view, if we don't show them the reality, obviously their questions are going to turn eventually into hostility. So to counter that, to create better inclusion within society, to bring communities together, the media, the government, the Muslim communities, the non-Muslim communities, they all need to play a role in us actually uniting together at these very, very difficult times.
Well, perhaps another point too is that it does appear, hearing many people like yourself espousing these very, very important values, you're doing literally what central and local government have asked leaders of faiths to do, particularly those of the Islamic faith. So if you're doing this and with these points are being put out to members of the public that are not aware of what a faith or a culture is, then surely now, a few years on, and with all these terrible events of this summer, is it not about time that the government took on the responsibility and had a little bit further look at this and perhaps offered help in their own way, other than offering and suggesting advice and placing it upon the shoulders of people of the Islamic faith?
Absolutely, all faiths and the government in particular also needs to work in order to bring communities together. You can't just sit back on your hands and hope the problem will go away. There is a problem. There's clearly a problem of extremism, and there's clearly a problem of division, and that division needs to be tackled on every possible scale. The government needs to tackle it. We think that there should be programs initiated by the government in order to bring communities together. Perhaps even the media needs to play a role, because the media has a huge impact on the way people think. The media is what decides how people think. So the media, I think, also needs to play a role in making sure that people are given the positive message, people are given the right message in order to bring a constructive dialogue, rather than breaking communities apart by giving wrong images of different communities who are minority communities.
Well, let me take you up on that straight away. How would it be for you if someone wanted to know more about your faith? This is the month of Ramadan. What's going to happen? I know it's going to end soon. Does everybody know that the month is going to end soon? What will happen towards the end of this month? What happens on the last day? Could you tell us a little bit about that for those people that don't know about the religion in question? What's going to happen towards the end of Ramadan? What happens, for instance, in your mosque? Are people welcome? Is it just for Muslims, or is it for everybody? Who's it for?
I mean, our mosques are open 24/7 throughout the year, but even particularly during the month of Ramadan, we open it up for people to come and break fasts with us. We open up our mosques and say that, look, come and enjoy a meal with Muslims and see what actually Islam teaches, and you'll find out that Islam is a message of peace, and it gives people the chance to express their opinions without fearing anything, and hold on to any belief that they wish to, because religion is a personal matter between man and God. So that's very important. I think we open our mosques and we welcome anybody that if they wish to come and join us, we'd we'd welcome them with open arms.
Well, I think it's a marvellous thing to hear, and it's very encouraging. So IFN is actually going to take you up. You offered us this when we were back at London Bridge over a week ago, and we're very happy to accept that. And if we may we record that event?
Absolutely. I mean, you can come down anytime and record us at any time. Our mosques are completely open, and particularly with you, I remember I mentioned that you should come down. I forgot to text you, but still, I mean, I did remember that, and I was going to get back to you, but I think this is the best opportunity. Definitely do come down in the next couple of days, where Eid is coming up on the 26th. So before that, anytime, after that, anytime, we're open, and we wish for you to actually come and show people what true Islam is. Even if you don't want to show people, as an individual you want to come, our arms are wide open.
Well, we've noticed that you help a lot out in the community. We've seen, for instance, at Grenfell with a fire. It was a terrible disaster. What we did notice was there was a lot of Muslim men and women, brothers and sisters, and they were helping people, and it didn't matter what faith they were helping. So we've actually seen this in action. So what I would like to ask is this: if I was to walk into many of the denomination churches, how would we be expected to make a contribution? Are you asking for a contribution, or are we just free to go there and find out what your faith is about?
In churches, I didn't catch that. Like in churches.
Yes, there's often a collection plate. People more expected. It's in front of them, and you tend to put something on a plate to give money towards that church and denomination to support them. Is that actually that way in Islam, or are people just free to come and to find out about it?
As a community, we don't take donations from people to raise funds for the mosque or anything, but with regards, we run our own charities. Humanity First is a charity which is a humanitarian charity which helps people regardless of their faith in disasters. So just recently, where the Grenfell Tower fires happened, the charity was out there, and it was and the charity was actually helping people from all different backgrounds. They didn't think twice about who they were helping. They just heard that our country needs help, and they just came down. It's a Muslim charity, it's an Ahmadi Muslim charity, and people that were donating to the charity, they were from all backgrounds. We raised about £15,000 for the victims, so we're going to put that into good use. We are putting that into good use. We're raising funds, we're raising donations, we're getting clothes, we're getting food, we're liaising with the council as well in order to help the people. So we were there, we were helping pack food, we were helping to shift things around from one place to the other. We were helping the people that were affected by the fire move from one place to the other. This was all being done by volunteers, Ahmadi Muslim volunteers, other Muslim communities were there, people from all backgrounds were there. So with regards to anybody wishing to help out, we'd say, donate to charity, give funds into charity. If you wish to give funds to our charity, which is Humanity First, you're more than welcome to. It's going to go and help out people regardless of their faith.
Well, I think there's a few little lessons for our government who've been a little bit short on what they've been required to do, and that, of course, is in the press and it's verified. So I say thank you very much for taking your time out today, and we're going to take you up on offer. Thank you for joining us today.